Hey, welcome to Friday's video. I'm just managing to get one video a week out these days, but I just have to go with that now. This video is a story about how I created a third party back when I first met my husband. And not only did I create a third party, I created the exact third party that I had been imagining, and there was no reason for that to happen, really. And if I hadn't done that, I don't think it would have happened. It wasn't even somebody that he saw a lot or anything like that. There was no real reason for them to get together, but I did it with the magic of my mind. It worked against me. I used it against myself. So first of all, let me just give you a bit of background. So I am married to Jeremy now, and we've been together for 26 years. I used to work in a shop, and when I first met him, I was living with somebody else. I had a fiance, but as soon as I saw him, the first moment I saw him, I was just zapped with electricity. That's what it felt like to me. I've never told him this. He doesn't even know this story, but I saw him talking to my friend, and I thought, who the hell is that? And I was totally intrigued, and so I asked her about him, and she said, oh, that's my friend Jeremy. And that's how I sort of got to know about him. Then I got to know more about him, and I got to know that he was a businessman, and he had a couple of takeaways in the city with his brother. He was fairly well known, actually. And then I would notice him a lot. He'd be in the paper, or he would they'd get themselves on TV and stuff, because they'd always be doing controversial things in order to do that, get publicity. So I became a little bit fascinated with him as well, and intrigued, I suppose. And I would just say hello to him in passing. He would say hello to me. He didn't know how I felt about him. Nobody knew how I felt about him. And I had only ever felt that really strong feeling with one other person before, and that hadn't worked out, and that was mostly due to me, because I had this thing that if I really was into somebody like that, I would kind of run away. If they knew, then I would run away. I just couldn't. I don't know what it was. It was weird ass behaviour, but that's how I was. If it was somebody that I was just attracted to, didn't have a problem. But if it was somebody I was really into, and actually it's only ever happened to me twice in my life, and both times I behaved like that. Anyway, so he didn't know. Time went by, and I split up with my fiance, and you've probably heard that story already here. So I did, and we'd been split up a little while, not that long. And I thought to myself, maybe because I knew that Jeremy was single at that time, and I thought he had been with somebody and then he was single, and I thought, I wonder if we might get together, because sometimes lots of us would go out and socialise and we'd have a bit of a chat, but I still didn't consider that he was a friend or anything like that. I didn't really know him that well, but it did cross my mind, and I kind of hoped for it, I suppose, but I didn't know. I was never going to let it be known that I liked him. And then one day I made the mistake of telling my friend that I worked with on the front till, because he worked at the very front of the shop, that I fancied him. And then she thought it would be a really good idea to tell him. And as soon as he knew, I went to pieces. I literally went to pieces, and I went out of my way to avoid him, because I was so embarrassed. I was such a strange girl back then. I really was, some really weird ways. And I just didn't want him to know, and he knew. And so I'd do everything I could to avoid him. I'd walk the other side of the shop if he'd come in to see my friend. He'd get in the queue. The queues at the front till were huge, they were ridiculous. And so he would get in that queue clearly to see me, when he could get in a much smaller queue further up the shop, and I would just go into panic, and I would do anything. I'd either get off the till if I could, get someone to cover for me, or I'd generally be on with somebody else, and I would do something so where I wasn't using the till. I'd turn around, I'd tidy up the cupboard, or do whatever I could. And one day I was actually tidying up the cigarette cupboard to avoid him, and he actually leaned over and said, you hiding from me? And I sort of looked up completely embarrassed. No, but I was, because that's what I would do. I would just run a mile, and I can't really explain it. So I was sabotaging any chance I might have had, and I sabotaged it to the point where he gave up doing that. Eventually he stopped getting in my queue. He stopped going out of his way to talk to me, because he probably thought, well, they said she fancies me, but clearly she doesn't, which is fair enough. So then I got it into my head that he was going to start seeing someone else. And not only did I get it into my head that he was going to start seeing somebody else, I got it into my head exactly who he was going to start seeing. And I was telling myself, don't be so ridiculous. I knew that he knew the girl in question. And the girl in question was the girl that my first boyfriend had split up with me for. Nothing wrong with her, none of that was her fault, and this wouldn't have been her fault either, but I don't know why I got that into my head. I knew that Jeremy knew her, and it suddenly started bugging me every now and again, not all the time, but it would pop into my head, what if he starts seeing her? And I would feel it full on, like he'd started to see her. It was so stupid. And then one day I just thought, oh, don't be so ridiculous. Even if he does, it's nothing to do with you. And why, you haven't even told him, haven't even sort of given him a chance. So Anyway, I let it go, forgot about it. About 2 weeks later, after I'd completely forgotten about it, I was invited out on a night out and he was there. There was a lot of us there. She was there. And she was never there when we used to go out. And as far as I know, he never socialised with her, and she was there. And I just knew, I had this overwhelming feeling, oh no, that's going to happen. Because I knew that I wouldn't let it be known that he had a chance with me, because I wouldn't be able to. And I decided that I was going to. No, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to confess how I feel, and it's all going to be good. But I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I just avoided him again. And then they were at the bar talking. By the end of the night, they were an item. I mean, full on an item. And I just cursed myself. I thought, you are such an idiot. And there's nothing I could do. It was done deal then. And I was gutted, and I left early. I just felt really, really rubbish. And I knew, even though I wasn't into this, I knew that I'd done it. I just had this overwhelming feeling, you've done that. But I didn't know how I'd done it. I knew weird stuff happened in life, and I thought, you did that. And I went home and I thought, can't believe I've done that. And then I thought, it won't last. I literally had this overwhelming feeling that it wouldn't last, and I gave myself a reason for that. I said, because they are like chalk and cheese, really. They were nothing alike at all, and I couldn't see that they'd have anything in common, and I thought, I just don't see that working out. And 6 weeks later, they split. Amicably, they just decided that they weren't right for each other, and they weren't. And then 2-3 months after that, I got together with him, because I finally, something clicked, and we were out again. It was my friend Ian's birthday. We were all out for the night, and we were in the club, and I suppose I'd loosened up because we were in the club, and he bought me a drink, and I just thought, you are not going to wreck this time. You are not going to. So I sat with him and I spoke to him all night, and by the end of the night he was in and I actually threw myself at him. I really did. End of the night came, and I think he probably was still a bit unsure, because I was really sort of as I had behaved before, and I thought, I'm not letting this chance pass me by. So I literally just kissed him. He was completely shocked, and it wasn't the sort of thing that I would normally do, but I thought, no, I'm not going to wreck this again. And I didn't, and we were together after that, and we've been together for 26 years. But I'm just going to talk to you about how I feel that how I know that I created a third party, and how I created that exact third party that I have been thinking of, because I vibrated it. I vibrated it purely. The vibration I had was of him being with her, and that was a pure vibration. It wasn't stuffed up with anything else. And then I let it go. Then I decided I was thinking it was nonsense, so I let it go, and it happened. And that is how simply it happens. It's all in the vibration. It's all in the pure vibration that we get something completely specific. So if you do not want to manifest a third party, one, don't focus on it. If it pops into your mind, just don't engage with it. Two, if you do find that you're getting that vibration of them being, especially with somebody in particular, say not true, and then try to feel the vibration of not true. That cancels things out for me. I've been using that for a long time now, and it's brilliant. It's a really great vibration. So you just do that. Third thing is, don't worry about a third party, because just if a third party comes along does not mean it's permanent, and they might need that experience to show them that they are better off with you. Just always find a positive spin. If a third party is involved, find that positive spin, and then tell yourself, this does not mean it's going to last. Even if it does last longer than I want it to last, it's doing that for a reason. It's doing that because when we get back together, it will be perfect timing. Just convince yourself of the positive. Always put a positive spin. So even if you have been waiting a long, long time to get back with somebody or to be with somebody, just try to see the time thing as a positive. No, the longer we're apart, the longer they have to realise that I am the one for them. And every day they're probably thinking they wished that they hadn't made that mistake, or they wish that they could reach out to me, but they don't know how to do it. They're thinking about reaching out, but they don't know what to say. Stuff like that. Convince yourself of that every now and again, and just really feel that vibration. Don't dwell on the negative. If you have a negative thought, don't worry about it. It's just a negative thought. It doesn't have much power if you don't keep dwelling on it. It's the vibration, a pure vibration of something that will manifest. So equally, if you have a pure vibration of being with them, then that will manifest. But if you have a pure vibration of them being with a specific other person, that will manifest. And that's what I did. And I knew that at the time, but like I said, I'd never heard of the law of attraction. I didn't know. But I don't really think of it as the law of attraction. I think of it as the law of creation, law of vibration, law of assumption, all of that stuff, rather than the law of attraction. So I don't think I attract situations. I think I create situations. And I created a situation that allowed them. Now, I could have stepped in there. If I had made my feelings clear, then it would have been me that he ended up with and not her, but I didn't. You see, so I allowed it to progress and happen. I created the situation for them to be together, the opportunity that I could not. Possibly I was being held back because I had imagined them together. So, you know, I was being stopped from approaching him so that they could be together, because that's seemingly what I was asking for. Because whatever this is, the universe, let's say, doesn't know. If you have a feeling about something, it's like it's saying, I would like that to happen, please. And as we all know, the universe always says yes. So that's how it happened. That's just a really short to the point story. I tried to record this before and I made it so long-winded, and it didn't need to be. It's as simple as that. It happens because you get the vibration of it. And yes, you can make it a specific person. You don't want to do that. So there you go. But it all worked out for the best in the end, because I didn't dwell on it. I let them be together, and I thought there's nothing I can do about it apart from know that it isn't going to last. But other than that, there's nothing I can do, and I'm not going to tie myself up in knots. So during that time, I saw another person, you know. It didn't overtake my life. It didn't take over my life. I didn't think about it all of the time or anything like that. I just let it happen. And I obviously was kept up to date by my friend of what was going on. And then eventually she said, oh, did you know Jeremy and I won't say her name, have split up? And I said, oh no, really? And sort of feigned that I wasn't terribly interested. Oh dear. Well, she said, oh well, you know, they're just really not suited. They're just not alike at all, and they like complete different things, and they just realised that, you know, they're better off as friends. There you go. So if you don't know anything about me, I'm an author. Predominantly I am an author, that's what I class myself as, but I also do some coaching. I have a members area which is £5 a month. You sign up for that, you get access to a ton of my personal stories, loads of different modules, worksheets, tutorials, SP tutorials, all that kind of thing in there. And you also get access to me, one-to-one coaching support from me, and that's all within your £5 a month. There's a lot changing on that. There's going to be a forum in there soon, which we've developed, we're just testing it now, and that'll be good to go soon. So yeah, if you want to know a bit more about it, pop along to my website and watch the explainer video there. If you haven't heard about my son, Harrison Ellis, he has his own Law of Attraction channel, and it's all specific person based, and he's a brilliant presenter. He's very funny, and it's aimed probably more at younger people, I guess, but you know, it works for everybody, and he's fun to watch. So yeah, pop along and take a look at his channel, which is listed below, and I will probably link it above now too.